Hey guys, it's quote unquote your boy, Ballface8020, back again with another great response video. So in this video, we're responding to Kevin Ray Wilder talking about NoFap. Somebody had mentioned it in the comments, and once I heard about it, I was like, I've got to see that. I don't really have anything new to say on the subject of Kevin Ray. On the subject of NoFap. But the idea of seeing Kevin Ray Wilder talk about NoFap, I was like, yeah, I think there's going to be room there for a response. And I started watching, and I was like, you know what, I'm not going to be able to respond to this one. But I think he hit enough fallacies, and it goes on for like, I think it looks like 17 minutes. So it goes on for 18 minutes, and I've made it through like 7 minutes of it or something. At that point, I think that's about all I could take. Um, the I don't know. I think there's enough there to respond to. I guess we'll have to see how the video comes out. So I guess the first thing, though, that I would make note of is that this video was made in 2019. Isn't 2019 a little late for NoFap? I mean, maybe not, because I made a Casey video where I think he talked about NoFap. It was either in 2019 or even 2020. So I guess I can't be too hard on this. But the thing is, Casey's got an excuse. He's from North Dakota. So I mean, I think, they still I think they just discovered fire last year. So things move a little slower back there. But Kevin, I don't know where he's from, but I'm positive it's not the Plains. And so I think he's from a more like normal background. So I mean, I'm just kind of, I don't know. I don't really get it. I think he's definitely learning stuff as he goes along. I can't imagine him making like a video like this today. So I guess you kind of have to give him credit for leaving it up there. I don't know if he still believes in NoFap. But anyway, here's what he had to say. He doesn't necessarily stand by everything in this video. I don't know if he does or not. I guess he hasn't taken it down, so he must believe some stuff in it. I guess. I don't know. But anyway, as I said, or I think I said, he hits on enough fallacies that we can get a response out of it. So let's hear what he has to say.
So I'll be completely honest with you, man. Really, the main reason that I started this NoFap journey in the first place was to enhance my focus, and then therefore that will carry over and enhance my business and help me make a bigger impact and make more money.
Okay, I like it. Good. We're starting off good. The problem is a sort of a misunderstanding of focus, what focus is, and what exactly how NoFap is going to facilitate things like greater focus. The first thing to note something like this, because you hear this a lot about the whole NoFap thing, focus is a product of how to say this? A mind that is calm, will automatically be focused. Focus is actually the natural state of the mind. What happens is you lose focus when the mind is either not at peace or there is, and the mind could be not at peace for a variety of reasons, including chemical reasons. It could be you didn't sleep enough, or the brain hasn't cleared enough shit out, or you could have depression in my case, or anxiety. Again, those are neuro things that are those physical things can have an impact on your mind. Even something like eating certain foods, certainly consuming substances, alcohol, drugs, those types of things. So focus is really a product of being at rest and clarity. So when it's not that NoFap, even insofar as it works at all, is going to give you focus. That's the wrong way of looking at it. The right way to look at it is, again, insofar as NoFap isn't just bullshit, is that it is getting rid of something that's weakening your focus. For instance, basically the way to think of it is, imagine you were getting drunk every day. And then you were like, well, not getting drunk every day will give me focus. It's like, well, that's not the right way to look at it, because that's not really what's happening. You not drinking isn't giving you focus. It's restoring the mind to its natural focus state, or a more focused state. The reason I'm bringing this up is not to be pedantic, or pedantic, however you say it. I'm bringing it up so you understand how to properly use these things to help you achieve your goals. And so when we say NoFap is going to improve your focus, for lack of a better word, or facilitate greater focus by removing a stimulus that is leading to an agitated mind. Fapping, amongst other things, will agitate your mind. And particularly if it becomes like an actual addiction. This mental agitation makes it impossible for your mind to return to its naturally calm state, where you will have greater focus and greater clarity. But you can kind of see the problem even in inherent. This means that it's important to remember that fapping is just one of the many things you're doing as just part of living a normal life in the West, in the contemporary West, where you're agitating your mind. There is a very good chance that NoFap is not the greatest of those things, that you are doing other things to agitate your mind. So NoFap by itself, after maybe a very brief honeymoon period, is very unlikely to have any, noticeable or significant, or whatever you want to call it. I think noticeable is probably fine. Noticeable enhancements to focus after, again, that initial honeymoon period of a few days, maybe a week. So I think that needs to be understood. So, I applaud the idea of what he's trying. He said, I want to be more successful in business. I want to be more focused so I can be more successful in business and make more money. All those things are good. I'm down with all of them. And I like appreciate him being proactive and going about it. NoFap by itself, NoFap without adding other things, when I say adding other things, what I mean is without removing the other ways you're agitating your mind, will be useless after that first week, regardless of what he says in the rest of this video. Maybe we can talk about some other things later.
Okay, 100% honest here. But something that I noticed, especially within those first 30 days of this journey, is there was kind of this additional benefit that I heard of through, like r/NoFap and then other YouTube videos that I didn't really think was like a legit thing. And then it happened to me on a really frequent basis. And so then I was like, okay, I guess it must be true. So what I'm talking about is your attraction level to women. It heightens significantly. It's like weird.
Nope, not true. Doesn't happen. Doesn't happen, and it did not happen for you. I don't care about your anecdotal experience. I don't care about anybody else's anecdotal experience who said, oh no, this has happened. Women have become more attractive. Nope. Didn't happen. No, it didn't happen. I don't even need evidence. Even if you could provide statistical evidence, I would still know that it didn't happen. And it's not just because of saying like, oh, it didn't happen for me. It didn't happen for millions of other guys or whatever. That's not really what it's about. I mean, it's just that I just know how attraction works. And there's absolutely nothing that doing NoFap would make you more attractive to women. Now, I will say that women are, and this is probably not as much the case as it used to be because we're so overly stimulated with technology. Women are probably a little more, spiritually intuitive than men. So you could theoretically be in a situation where like the total spiritual growth as a whole could have increased your appeal to some women. But I want to make it clear, we're just talking in the realms of, we're in a strictly theoretical realm here. But you're just some like regular American or Western Joe who stopped fapping for a few weeks, that women are more attracted to you. Nope. Didn't happen. Did not happen. Period. And So what about his experience of it, and his and other men who've claimed the same thing? I mean, well, I can't comment on it because I didn't see it, so I don't know exactly what they're referring to. I mean, my best guess from afar is talking about some type of placebo effect. And against your anecdotal experience, I want to put my own and other guys who've said the same. It's kind of tragic, and I've never experienced this, but I've heard about this on I think it was on Short Cells. Some guys talking about on the word mocking the NoFap board, talking about how like they're they had all this confidence from doing NoFap, and they were still getting they were still getting shut down, shot down, all that shit. A lot of them had come from a NoFap background, and yeah, it's just, and one of my favorite things back. This is even when I thought NoFap maybe had more substance to it. Is, do you know who practices NoFap? Do you know who practices NoFap? Monks. Monks. You can go to Christian monks, Buddhist monks, Hindu monks. Those guys, all of them, not known for their appeal to women. Okay. Not, like you can go to any monastery you want. They do not have women throwing themselves at them. Okay. I've never seen women see monks and say like, oh yeah, those guys are really sexy. No, no. Even like the Shaolin monks who are all ripped and stuff. So the what were we talking about? Oh yeah, so let's just talk about but me when I did it, and like I think I mentioned this before. When I did it, I noticed I kind of fell into it by accident, like where I just hadn't, fapped for a few days. And all of a sudden I noticed, I was like, holy shit, I feel like, I feel a little bit more confident and stuff and a little bit more focused. And, but if I'm being honest with myself, it wasn't like a huge thing. But what I really noticed was just the sudden dramatic improvement in my chess score. And I know it wasn't placebo because I've had the reverse happen to me. Like, for instance, when I remember one time I started eating clean and exercising, and I assumed that my chess score was going to go up, but instead it went dramatically down, probably because I was consuming the carbs were so much fewer, and that was causing me to perform lower. But here, I wasn't expecting, I mean, it didn't even occur to me that NoFap would help with chess. And it like exploded it, no pun intended. Like my chess score went up by like well over 200 points, and it just kept going up and up and up before I finally relapsed. But I assumed that it would have eventually, stopped and gone back down. So there's definitely something going on, at least in the short term there. But overall, it's not like I didn't notice things. And I did notice an improvement in focus in school, a slight improvement in motivation, a 100% placebo improvement in confidence. That I'm positive was placebo. The confidence. I didn't feel any more aggressive or anything. I tried to convince myself I did, but I didn't. But no, I saw women then. And, again, I didn't even get a placebo upgrade in that of women seeming more attracted to me. So, I mean, if it was just my experience, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily, I would just say, okay, well, that's me, and maybe there's other people, or maybe I didn't do it long enough. I don't know. But I've heard a lot of guys say the same thing. So what's seems most likely to me is that Kevin Ray Wilder and other guys who've had this experience, it was a placebo. Because keep in mind, Kevin is a guy we know from other stories, has a lot of appeal to women. He's 6'2", he's strong, great hair. This is a guy who, when he's cold approached, has had a lot of success. There's times in his life when he's cold approached and had a lot of success. So I don't know, maybe NoFap has made him more aggressive in his cold approaches, or more noticing of IOIs. That's the only thing I can think of. But actually made him more attractive to women? No, I'm 100% confident that didn't happen.
Okay, so when this first started happening to me, I'll be straight up, guys. I at least for the past 5 years or so, I haven't really had too many struggles with women. I did.
Oh, you don't say. You don't say. So being young with thick long hair and 6'2", and with wrists that are over 7 inches, you wouldn't think a guy like that, you would assume a guy like that would struggle with women, right? If he didn't know a lot about game and wasn't doing NoFap. And Kevin's saying that he didn't. So that's very counterintuitive.
I did in the past, but I kind of got over that when I was a bit younger. But there's something, it's like it's even heightened. The attraction level that women had for me was significantly heightened. And,
nope. No, it wasn't.
Some of it has to do with your looks being enhanced, sure, but there's
no, because that doesn't happen, because your looks do not get enhanced by NoFap. At least not NoFap by itself. You might, again, I'm going to talk about this, like if NoFap in conjunction with other things might enhance your presence. Theoretically, it could, but your looks, no. You look. I mean, like if I was just watching this video, I mean, I've seen you in other videos, and you look good in them. Where I don't know if you're doing NoFap in them. You look good here. You look good in them. I don't really see any difference. So, I mean, you look. I mean, look at that. You look good. You look good. You look good when you're fapping too. It just doesn't make a difference. Okay.
There's some other parts of it that are much more subtle, and it was hard for me to kind of pinpoint what that might have been. But after some deep
it's really hard to pinpoint things that don't exist, huh?
Thought and some research, I think I've finally kind of nailed it down. So in this video, I want to go over the 3 ways in which NoFap makes you significantly more attractive to the opposite sex, and how it's just a magical, wonderful thing that I personally wasn't really expecting. And maybe you as a viewer, you might be skeptical because you probably heard the same thing, but it's totally true, man. Like,
no, it's not. You can just stop watching the rest of the video. It's not. I mean, unless you just love my commentary that much, just stop, because if there's even a subconscious part of you that's hoping that you're going to get something out of this, like learn something about how NoFap can help you, you're not going to get it. So if you're listening, you're only listening for my commentary at this point, I hope.
Coming from a former skeptic, it's so true. And I'm going to go over in this video the 3 ways of how NoFap...
A former skeptic, huh? I'd like to see Kevin take on the Shroud of Turin and give us a skeptical view of that. He would go in like, yeah, I was a skeptic, but, now I think that it really is the shroud that Jesus was buried. I'm being a prick. I'm sorry. I really, seriously, Kevin's cool. He's cool. But I'm going to be honest with you. I could see it. I could see that happening.
That makes you much more attractive to women. Okay, so let's just dive right into the 3 reasons. Now, reason number 3, it's somewhat related to reason number 1, but it's probably the most significant, so make sure you stick around for that, okay? So reason number 1, simply put, people can feel your energy, your masculine energy that naturally just increases when you're going through NoFap. Now, of course, there's like hormonal reasons, right? It's been proven. There was a Chinese study done where 1 week after doing NoFap, yeah, there's actually a study on this. It's like one of the only ones where testosterone was significantly improved. So,
okay, one study is not proof. It's evidence. It's evidence, but you'd have to put that against the other studies. And I think if you look at all the studies together, the evidence is overwhelming that NoFap does not have any sustained increase in testosterone levels. If you look at the guys, and I can tell you this from my own experience, and I've heard about guys from the other students who've done sustained NoFap, it has tended to actually have a reverse impact, where you see after the initial phase, the libido dramatically declines. And, the peak of libido is going to be when you're in high school. And when I was in 9th grade, I'm not going to go into too much detail. I did some very extended NoFap. This was before there was such a thing as NoFap. I was doing it for, I don't even want to, I'm not even going to go into the story of why I was doing it. I had my own reasons for doing it. And, I'm talking about for a really long time, like months at a time. And, I didn't notice any improved focus. Like when I talk about improved focus or improved chest score, that happened like when I was like pushing 30. But as a teenager, I noticed no impact whatsoever. I still had, I was unmotivated, couldn't concentrate, had all the same things, that, I always did. And I didn't notice any feeling different when I went back to it. So, yeah. And certainly I didn't become any more attractive to women. I can tell you that. And then this was a case where I was around girls my age every day. So I would have noticed if I had been. That's just not how it played out. So, the thing about the study. Yeah. So I don't know if he was saying if that again, that's just one study, but if that study really is finding your testosterone levels raise, my guess is, remember, when they say it's raised significantly, that just means statistically significant. So it doesn't necessarily mean it went from 300 ngdl to 1,000. It could be something like they were at 500 DL and they went up to 530 DL, which is statistically significant, but will have no practical impact on performance. And my guess is even that would relapse after like a week or whatever. Me, I have really low testosterone. I would say it's probably because of two things. One is my weight. I'm too heavy. And two is my meds. My meds definitely are, not definitely, but almost certainly reduce it. And then I've also had some head injuries, which are known to reduce testosterone levels. So but yeah, in terms of, but my understanding is that the data shows that there is no long-term increase, not even like no long-term statistically significant increase, let alone something that would actually have clinical significance. Like, to like actually notice any type of difference in performance and function from the testosterone rising, you would need it to be like 200 or 300, 200 or 300 NGDL at least. And, my guess is one thing that I think is possible with NoFap is that it may increase the sensitivity of the androgen receptors in your brain, which could, I see, have some psychological effects and things with mental clarity, even by itself. That's absolutely possible, but we don't have any data for that just yet. That would be one thing that I'm open to seeing. But although, again, you'd still have to be worried about the so-called flat line. I do think that that men are not really designed to be doing NoFap for months at a time. I think maybe it might be ideal for men and when I say NoFap, I just mean, celibacy. So celibacy plus, whatever, celibacy for maybe a week at a time. That might be good, but I don't know if you're not supposed to ever have no release. Maybe maybe for a few months, or a month or so, something like around a month, but occasionally. But like regular periods where you're going months at a time, I'm not sure the male body's designed for that. Not if you don't want to do it, don't do it. But if it's something that like you're having to force yourself to, I'm not sure there's data to support doing that, and that sounds unnatural to the point where it could potentially even be unhealthy.
So there's a physical reason for it, but on top of that too, it's just like, all right, well, think about what that sexual energy as a man that you have is. It's creative energy. It's literally the essence of life, right? It's like that sexual urge that you have created all of the people here on this planet, okay? Right?
Are you trying to make me throw up? I mean, you got to leave it to Kevin and Casey and guys like them to just make sex seem like the most unappealing thing in the world. Like anything they say about it, it's like, ew. Like I feel like I need a shower just after listening to it.
That energy is the driving force behind human creation itself.
Oh my God! Please stop! Please stop!
Most guys, they end up just releasing it to a bunch of like virtual, whatever on their phones, into a bunch of tissues, and it gets all wasted, and then they're just, they get this dopamine rush, and they're just turned into like these docile little creatures, right? So
no, that's not true. I mean, the thing about the dopamine rush is true, but you're saying that fapping is going to make people docile. That's not true, because it's, again, a FAP is not going to have any much, or at least not much of a different impact on your brain of like, um, than, actually having real sex will. And like, Mao from, uh, communist China, he was like a total sex maniac. He had like real sex multiple times a day. Plus, I don't even know how many times he was fapping in addition to that. And totally super aggressive guy. And who's that? Who's that? Like PUA guy, John Anthony something. He had that stream battle with Undead Chronic. Um, I know from other reports on him that not only does he fuck tons of girls, or at least he used to, but he's like a total FAP addict, FAPs all the time, and pretty aggressive guy. So, I mean, this idea that fapping is making you passive, that's not true. What's making you passive is that, you know what? Let's not even talk about what's making you passive. How about that? I'm just going to tell you one thing. Fapping is not making you passive or feminine or whatever.
So if you resist from doing that and you keep that energy within you, right? That energy needs to be released somewhere. That's why sexual transmutation is so important. I'll get to that in another.
Well, see, I don't think it is. And again, I would like to point back to like my time in ninth grade, where like that energy, for lack of a better word, is coursing through you at age 14 and 15 more than at any other time in your life. And what I found was, after those first few days or week when I adjusted, that the energy just kind of disappeared, at least for a few weeks, before it would come back in these like extremely painful short-term bursts. But that's neither here nor there. For the most part, it would just kind of lay dormant, which does seem to be the experience of people who are able to stick with this for the long term. And again, I would refer you to people in monasteries.
In another video, but you naturally exude this creative, masculine presence.
Nope, doesn't happen. Again, can reference you my own experience. I can reference you the experience of thousands of other things, and I can reference you the experience of the people who vouch for NoFap. I mean, Kevin Ray Wilder and Casey are totally on the NoFap and quote unquote semen retention. Speaking of needing a shower after saying something, and those guys are like, do those guys like exude masculine energy to you? I mean, it's really the other way around. I mean, despite being big, strong guys, no, they really don't. They exude weakness and insecurity. I mean, nobody does it to the extent that Casey does, and he'd be just as bad. He'd be just as bad with it. And you know what? And I will say, Cole does exude some masculine energy, and I'm assuming he's doing NoFap because he's been brainwashed by Casey. So there. Okay, fine. You've got one example. But I mean, I doubt. My assumption is that Cole was exactly like that, even before. Which I think is a reasonable assumption. But we also saw, like, because we've seen Casey's other proteges, and I'm sure they're all doing it. And are they masculine? No, not at all. Is Kevin masculine? Again, look, I'm not trying to be negative. He's got tons of shit going for him. Women obviously love him. Does he have a really strong masculine energy? No, it's just a fact, not a criticism. There's nothing wrong with it. Some people have a lot of masculine energy, just like some people have a lot of height. Some people have a lot of good looks. Some people have a lot of smarts. It's cool. Don't stress about it. But no, he doesn't. He doesn't have a lot of masculine energy. Let's be honest. And there's no reason to think that NoFap is helping in that regard.
Right? When you're doing NoFap, because it's not just being released through the tip of your dick on a regular basis. So instead you're holding it within, right? And you have that creative energy there, this masculine energy. And when you're in a hyper masculinized state, naturally there's like this polarity between masculine and feminine, right? It's a big point that comes across in The Way of the Superior Man. If you ever read that book, fantastic book, by the way, highly suggest. But there's
I may check it out just for material. I hate the title, but maybe there's something to it. You guys know how I am about masculinity and self-improvement stuff. I mean, obviously I'm not the target market, but
there's masculine and feminine, and when you're really in your masculine, naturally, which happens during NoFap, naturally you and your mind, your body, and spirit are going to be craving more of the feminine, right? the feminine energy, which tends to be much more prevalent in women, although it's very prevalent in men who jerk off every day.
No, I disagree that it's prevalent in men who jerk off every day. And I also want to clarify that I absolutely didn't mean to say that Kevin or Casey or Casey's disciples exude a feminine energy, because they do not at all. I mean, yes, in a sense, they project a kind of masculinity, but it's not like a super like 50s movie star type of masculinity type of thing. Or they project kind of a sort of, I hate to say it, but kind of an oofy doofy masculinity, and which is very common in Western men. In which is I don't think that's what they're going for. But no, I absolutely don't get any feminine energy from them, and that would go for guys who fap, which is most guys, don't come off as feminine at all, to me at least, not that I've noticed.
But you're naturally going to be drawn toward that, and that's naturally going to be drawn toward you. Okay?
Again, I'm going to have to very strongly disagree. This was actually something I wanted to mention in my height fetishization video, and I regret that I forgot to mention it, because it's something that's always been really interesting to me. And that's that, and I could be wrong, and please, if you disagree, let me know in the comments. And this is a very broad thing, but I'm just telling you, one thing that I have noticed is that with women who are not really into like being dominated or whatever, or not really into the whole like masculine feminine polarity, those women tend to be more like even more interested in things like height and musculature than women who are. Women who are more like egalitarian in their sexual taste tend to actually, conversely, it tends to be even more important to them that a guy is tall and strong. Whereas the women who seem to like the twink type, the K-pop type, like the sort of scrawny pretty boy type, those women tend to be the more into the 50 Shades of Grey shit. Now, this is very broad. This is ultra ridiculously out of this world broad. But in my experience, that's something I've noticed. So, and the reason I'm bringing it up is because he's talking about, basically, he says the more masculine polarity it is, the more feminine polarity you'll go get. And I just don't think it works that way. Because obviously the guys who are the biggest and strongest you would think that the women who are more into the like super feminine stuff would like the super big guys. And again, there are many, and again, almost every woman prefers taller. They're more mixed on things like bulk, because some women really do like scrawny guys. But that's like, they're very variant on their preferences for that. Some women like really big guys. Most women tend to kind of like a little bit above average, but the ones who like the really big, strong Brock Lesnar types, in my experience, they tend to not be into that whole masculine feminine polarity as much. And again, I'm going back to it. The ones who like the twink, less masculine guys, your Timothy Chalamet types, or who's that guy from the Irish guy who was in 28 Days Later? That guy, those kind of guys, the more like I said, the smaller prettier boys. Those are the more ones who are more interested in the polarity. So I think he's just off base. What he's saying logically makes sense. I just don't think it's how it ends up working in practice.
And I know this sounds kind of like woo-woo whatever, but bear with me here, right? Naturally, when you have a lot more masculine energy and you're exuding this confidence, you're naturally going to make a lot more eye contact, right? You're going to be much more open and a lot more engaging with your conversations, right? And women can feel that, man.
I would say if that was happening with you, there's a couple of things that could be going on. One is placebo effect. I think that's a big thing. And placebo effect, like somebody like me is not really there's not going to be much of a placebo effect for somebody like me because I'm just not very suggestible. Like I'm one of those people who hypnotism could never work on. Kevin strikes me as somebody who's very suggestible. This isn't a criticism. There's nothing wrong with being suggestible. And not suggestible does not mean naive. It just means some minds are more suggestible than others. So I would say that somebody like one is, I think it could be placebo effect. The other is that NoFap really has helped facilitate greater focus or greater clarity, and because you have greater clarity, you've noticed you've made IOI. You're noticing IOIs that you hadn't seen before. Then another thing could be that you're just so sexually frustrated that you're being more aggressive going after it. Kind of like fasting. Well, like they said, fasting can improve performance because it's like, if you haven't eaten, your body knows that it needs to get food, so it focuses. Maybe this is having that some kind of, a sexual version of that. And that's making you go be more aggressive, and keeping you more focused when going after women. That one's maybe a little bit of a reach, but those are the things. I don't think it's actually by itself making you. In fact, I'm confident it's not making women more attractive to you by itself, in and of itself.
Man, they can feel that, and it's a very rare quality to find in a man nowadays. So they're instantly going to be drawn to you.
Well, what's a rare quality? It's rare nowadays to meet a man as masculine as Kevin Ray Wilder or Casey Zander. No, it isn't. I mean, I would say the average man is at least as masculine as you guys, if not more. But again, if it was about masculinity, why don't you see women being attracted to those guys on construction sites? Those guys are ridiculously masculine. Are women interested in them? No. because they're fat, they're, worn down, they're usually not very attractive. So, but those guys ooze masculinity. So it's not about masculinity.
When that happens. Okay, so reason number 2. Again, small little reminder. Reason number 3 is the most important, and it ties in more into reason number 1, so stick around for that. But anyway, reason number 2. NoFap basically teaches you greater self-control and delayed gratification. Okay, so when you're doing anything in your life, and I've noticed this with myself, I've noticed this with my clients, right? I'm a personal trainer. When you have one part of your life that's in alignment, everything else kind of tends to fall into place, okay? Now, not literally everything, but when you're in alignment in one area of your life, there's always going to be at least 1 or 2 areas of your life that are also in alignment, okay? So what I mean by that is, okay, if you're able to teach yourself more self-delayed gratification, self-control, what does that carry over to? Well, it carries over to your fitness significantly, okay? This is personal trainer Kevin coming out.
Okay, I know where he's going with this. So he's saying that what he's trying to say here is that NoFap is going to improve your self-discipline to the point where you can push yourself harder in the gym, and that's getting you better results, that's making you more attractive. That is maybe the most retarded thing I've ever heard. No. I mean, Kevin, you can use yourself as evidence. You're a personal trainer. I'm sure you've taken measurements of your biceps before NoFap and then after NoFap. I guarantee you have not gotten any big. Your arms have not grown at all. Your muscles haven't grown at all. You may have noticed some gym improvements, but whether your 1 rep maxes have improved, I don't know. They probably shouldn't have, because you should have already been at your genetic maximum by now. But I mean, what a stupid thing to say. In any case, I mean, like, even if your lifts have improved, and I'm not convinced they have, from doing NoFap, that's not going to make you more attractive. The only thing that could feasibly have an impact is your muscular size, which women don't even care about, by the way. But theoretically, you could do that. But no, I don't believe that. I don't believe that NoFap is going to get you better results in the gym. I just don't. I don't think it's going to have any. No, I don't think it's going to have any impact. Unless, it ends up being, unless it's like some kind of butterfly flapping its wing things where it gives you enough of a placebo effect to be more motivated to work out harder and to do other shit like that. That would be the only way. but actually not jerking it, or, not having sex, semen retention, as Casey likes to call it, that by itself is going to get you significant athletic performance results or muscle development results. Nope. Will not happen. There is zero scientific data to back it up. There is some scientific data that there's nothing to it, but that's about it. So we can just leave it there. That's all for now, and I'll see you in the next.